Welcome to the training Integrate with SP API. Step 1. Set up AWS IAM. This module is designed for developers who want to integrate a public or private application for an Amazon seller or vendor with Selling Partner API, or SP API. Applications that use SP API help sellers and vendors manage, grow, and automate their business by providing programmatic access to Amazon listing and selling data. This module covers the first of 5 steps developers take to integrate with SP API. Setting up Amazon Web Services Identity and Access Management, or AWS IAM, to enable calls to SP API. In other modules, we cover later steps in the integration process. Search for the following. Step 2. Register an application for SP API. Step 3A. Set up a test Amazon Partner Network authorization workflow. Step 3B. Set up a test website authorization workflow. Step 3C. Set up a self-authorization procedure. Step 4A. Connect to SP API using a generated Java SDK. Step 4B. Connect to SP API manually. And Step 5. Publish an SP API application. You can also find written instructions for each of these steps by searching for the Selling Partner API Developer Guide on GitHub. Before you begin Step 1 of the integration process, you'll need to register as an SP API developer if you haven't already. Review our SP API Overview module for more information. The way you register as a developer will vary based on the type of application you want to integrate with SP API, public or private, for a seller or vendor. A public application is publicly available, while a private application is only available to its organization. Both public and private applications can be built for sellers or vendors. If an application is public, it's authorized by the seller or vendor. If an application is private, it's self-authorized by the developer, who is also the seller or vendor. Choose your method for developer registration using these criteria and the instructions in our SP API overview. You'll use these same criteria throughout SP API integration to determine your path among various processes. After you're registered as an SP API developer, you're ready to start Step 1. In this step, you'll create and configure identity and access management policies and entities in AWS Management Console. These will establish an IAM user and create an IAM role with permissions to call SP API. Your IAM user will assume the IAM role as part of the setup process. Start AWS IAM setup by creating a free AWS account if you don't already have one. Search for AWS Free Tier, then click the Create a Free Account button. You'll be taken to the AWS portal where you can sign up for AWS. Enter an email, create and confirm a password, and choose an AWS account name to get started. Then complete additional steps when prompted. After you have an AWS account, you can establish an IAM user to get AWS keys and authenticate calls to SP API. We recommend you establish a new IAM user exclusively for this purpose if you have another one already. To establish a new IAM user, start by signing in to the AWS Management Console at aws.amazon.com/console. Then open the IAM console at console.aws.amazon.com/IAM. Click Users, then the Add Users button. Enter a new username for IAM. Select Programmatic Access and then click the Next Permissions button. This will take you to the Set Permissions page. Review the defaults and then click the Next Tags button. You'll be taken to the Add Tags Optional page, where you can add optional tags as needed. Click the Next Review button when you're ready to proceed. On the Review page, review your selections for the IAM user role. You can ignore the warning, "This user has no permissions," because you'll set permissions when you create your IAM role in a later step. When you're ready to proceed, click the Create User button. On the next page, the AWS Access Key ID for your new IAM user will be displayed. Click Show to view the AWS Secret Access Key. Then click Download.csv and save the file to a safe location. Be sure you complete this step as you won't be given this secret key again. Finally, after saving your IAM credentials, click Close and then click your new IAM user in the username column. Make a note of the user ARN before continuing. This is your IAM's unique Amazon resource name, which identifies it uniquely and unambiguously across all of AWS. After establishing your IAM user, you'll create an IAM policy to define permissions for calls to SP API. To create your policy, start by signing in to the AWS Management Console at aws.amazon.com/console if you aren't already. Then open the IAM console at console.aws.amazon.com/IAM. Click Policies, the Create Policy button, and then the JSON tab. Replace the code in the text box with the following. You can copy this code from the Selling Partner API Developer Guide. From the table of contents, click Step 3, Create an IAM Policy to locate it. After entering the new code, click the Next Tags button. You'll be taken to the Add Tags optional page where you can add optional tags as needed. Click the Next Review button when you're ready to proceed. On the Review Policy page, enter a name and any optional description for the policy. We recommend naming your policy Selling Partner API so it's easy to recognize later. Finally, review the Summary section to see the permissions granted. Then click the Create Policy button. Your new IAM policy will appear in the list. With your policy and permissions in place, you can create the IAM role that will use them to authenticate calls to SP API. To create your IAM role, start by signing in to the AWS Management Console at aws.amazon.com/console if you aren't already. Then open the IAM console at console.aws.amazon.com/IAM. Click Roles and then the Create Role button. On the Create Role page, click Another AWS Account. Next, in the Account ID field, enter the ID for the AWS account you used to create your IAM user earlier in Step 1. Then, click the Next Permissions button. You'll be taken to the Attach Permissions Policies page. Under Policy Name, select the IAM policy you created. Then click the Next Tags button. You'll be taken to the Add Tags optional page where you can add optional tags as needed. Click the Next Review button when you're ready to proceed. On the Create Role page, enter a role name and any optional role description. Then click the Create Role button. Under Role Name, click the name of your new role. Finally, locate and save your role ARN on the Summary page by clicking the Copy icon. You'll need this later to register your application, so be sure to save it before proceeding. The final part of AWS IAM setup is adding an AWS Security Token Service, or STS policy, to your IAM user. This will allow you to request temporary AWS access keys to authenticate requests with SP API. As part of adding an AWS STS policy, your IAM user will assume the IAM role you created and gain the permissions necessary to call SP API. To add an AWS STS policy to your IAM user, start by signing in to the AWS Management Console at aws.amazon.com/console if you aren't already. Then open the IAM console at console.aws.amazon.com/IAM. Click Users and then click the name of the IAM user you created at the beginning of Step 1. Next, in the Permissions tab, click Add Inline Policy. On the Create Policy page, click Choose a Service, then select STS. To help narrow your choices, you can enter STS in the search field. After selecting STS, click the arrow next to Actions. Then from the drop-down, click the arrow next to Write. From the new drop-down, select Assume Role. Click the arrow next to Resources and then click Add ARN. In the Add ARNs dialog box, enter the role ARN that was provided when you created your IAM role in the Specify ARN for Role box. Then click Add and the Review Policy button. Next, on the Review Policy page, enter a name for your policy. We recommend Selling Partner STS, so it's easy to recognize later. Finally, review your choice, and if you're ready to proceed, click the Create Policy button. After you've created and added an AWS STS policy to your IAM user, you'll have completed Step 1 of the SP API integration process. Your IAM user can now assume your IAM role and receive permissions to call SP API. This concludes our training on AWS IAM setup. We encourage you to watch the next module in the Integrate with SP API series. Step 2, register an application for SP API. Thanks for watching.